heart of Texas, LifeTalk. Here's your host, Mark Crutcher.
Hello, welcome to LifeTalk for November 2011. I'm Mark Crutcher, and lurking in the shadows nearby are Johnny Hunter, Cherie Johnson, and Troy Newman, the usual suspects, as we've come to call them. As again this month, Father Frank and Janet will not be here. The situation in Amarillo continues. I'll be talking about that here in a minute. Also, we won't be having Alan Ackles bring you the news this month, but don't worry, you'll still be getting all the latest information that's out there in the battle over abortion. As for Father Frank, this situation continues, a situation that I would call indefensible and totally unjust. It continues. Father Frank is still in exile. I try to speak to him at least once a day, and sometimes more than once a day, mainly to keep his spirits up. This is a very trying situation for him because, again, he's in exile, which he doesn't want to be in, and he's in a position where he really can't defend himself against these charges that are totally unfounded. But his spirits are high. He's doing well, and he would want me to let you guys all know that, so that you're not thinking that he's just in a state of depression or anything, because he's not. And he's confident, as I am, that in the final analysis, this thing's going to work out properly. And there are things going on behind the scenes to help that along. And I'm hoping, against hope, that we get him back on the battlefield. I would like to have a call in the next 5 minutes and saying, hey, Father Frank is back on the bridge again. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now. The longer this thing goes on, the more dead babies are going to die as a result of it. Father Frank needs to be in this battle. I don't think Bishop Zurich has any clue the damage that he's doing right now. I hope he doesn't have a clue, because if he does have a clue, then that means he doesn't care. And I would like to think that that's not the case, but who knows? But anyway, this situation is, again, indefensible, and it continues to go on. And right now, I have to tell you that we're all optimistic that it's going to work out well in the end, but right now we don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. This thing continues to go on, and we need to continue to pray for Father Frank and to pray for Priests for Life. They're basically shut down right now, and that's a tragedy that cannot continue to go on. But anyway, we need to pray for Father Frank and pray for Priests for Life and the entire pro-life movement, because I can tell you, Life Dynamics has been dramatically affected by this, as has every other pro-life organization in the country. We need to get Father Frank back on the front lines. Anyway, that's what's going on with that, and we'll keep you posted. And we'll have something on our website at prolifeamerica.com if something happens that we think you need to know about, quickly. So you might want to check there. And also, we have a YouTube video that you can go on YouTube and see at Father Pavone Update. And so far, it's had about 11,000 hits. We've been amazed at how many people are interested in this story. So anyway, if you want to go there and check that, that's great. But just check on our website between now and the next show. And hopefully this situation will be resolved before the next show. But if it's not, then we'll bring you up to date at that time. Anyway, there's other news in the pro-life movement, as there always is. We've had some deaths this month that have been pretty unfortunate. One, a character, I guess is the best way you could describe him, Pro-Life Anderson. And yes, that is his real name, Pro-Life Anderson. His original name, I don't even remember what his original name, Andy, but you know.
Andy Anderson.
Andy Anderson. Okay,
yep,
well, whatever.
He changed his name to Pro-Life.
He changed his name to Pro-Life Anderson. And this old man was a character. We had a clip on him here years ago from LifeTalk. He sent me some stuff about how he was promoting Life Dynamics, and he had a big sign, support Life Dynamics or something. He was climbing around. He's 80-something years old at the time. He was climbing on the top of his car, and, you watch this thing and you think, oh, this poor old man's going to fall and bust his head wide open or something. And he'd get up on this thing, he's real shaky, and anyway, he was a character, to say the least. But unfortunately, he died a couple of days ago, and he'll be missed.
He was a great man.
He really was.
I really liked him.
And like I said, he was a lot of fun to be around, and he was a really great guy, so yeah. We're going to miss him. Even more sad than that, Students for Life has lost a couple of people.
And they're dear friends, actually 3.
Yeah, actually 3.
Because Courtney was pregnant with her little baby Sophie.
Well, I was counting those as the 2. I forgot that the other one died yesterday, I think it was. Courtney Blythe, 23, 24?
Just about that age.
Yeah.
Real young, newly married to Van Gordon.
Yeah. Well, I knew her as Courtney Blythe
Right.
sometime ago. But anyway, she just got married not too long ago. She's pregnant with her first baby, killed in a head-on car wreck. And guy that was with her from Students for Life, John Scharfenberger, and I'd never met him, or I don't recall ever meeting him, but he survived the crash and actually helped to get her out. But then he died yesterday. So he survived for a while, and that's, any death is a tragedy. But, in looking at these two, when you're looking at Pro-Life Anderson and then the three of them, I hate to see Pro-Life Anderson go, but he had a long, happy life, and he accomplished a lot in his life. But the tragedy of seeing people, an unborn baby and then a couple of kids in their 20s be killed like this is really sad.
Mark, we had a conference call right after Courtney had passed away, and I was asked to give just a couple words of inspiration. And what I said was, we look at Courtney, we knew her, we had a relationship with her, and she enlightened our lives. She was just a wonderful person to be around. And you know what? That's a lot like God. He says in Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I knew you. And so the heartbreak that we have because we knew Courtney and we experienced her love and friendship is the same heartbeat or heartbreak that God has over 3,000 times a day for the babies that are needlessly cut down. So let's use this heartache and turn it around for a positive and renew our commitment, redouble our efforts to accomplish the things that these young people wanted to accomplish. They were proud to be called abortion abolitionists. Right. And Courtney told me one time, on my tombstone, I want written the words, abortion abolitionist.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And they were on the way home from a pro-life event.
Yes, they were.
That's right. So, it's a tragic situation, but God will see that it works out for the betterment of the whole movement. Lots of other things going on right now. French abortionists are starting to talk about, or the French abortion lobby, starting to talk about something that we've seen here in the United States, we've talked about here so many times. My view is that choice is going to be what kills the abortion industry. Mm-hmm. The choice of medical professionals not to be involved. And now the American abortion industry and abortion lobby is trying to pass laws that will prevent them from not being involved. Doctors will be forced to do abortions if the abortion lobby and the Obama administration have their way. But now French abortionists are starting to see the same thing. A female abortionist writes anonymously, says fears if current trends are not corrected, the killing of the unborn will be, quote, endangered. They're worried about...
No, she said the killing of the unborn will be endangered. Oh, okay.
That's what this was.
But that's what she meant.
Yeah. She says, I think that abortion is a medical practice that is tolerated more than it is really accepted, even several decades after its legalization, and including in the heart of the medical community. It's not unique in our center, and fears tend to be found a bit throughout all of France that you don't do abortions.
Right.
We got to keep up the pressure. This is what the pro-life movement has accomplished. This is the main thing I think that we've accomplished all over the years is that we have not allowed these people, our enemies, to mainstream the killing of unborn children and make it palatable. People might, like she says, they might tolerate it, but at best it's tolerated.
I'll always remember something Greg Cunningham once said. Anything that you don't want to look at the pictures of, if you can't tolerate the pictures, maybe you shouldn't be tolerating it.
You shouldn't be doing it. Right.
A couple of weeks ago, there was an article, big article in the Santa Fe newspaper about an unknown abortionist, this person that didn't want to use a real name. In fact, she appeared in the paper with a Halloween mask over her face. And our staff was looking at this. And because we look through a lot of medical license applications, one of the people on our staff said, I know exactly who this is. And we wrote a whole article unmasking her. And it turned out to be this abortionist, Nicola Moore, out of Massachusetts. But the interesting thing about that article was that many of her own colleagues and other abortionists said it's just not worth it.
Right.
I don't want to be part of this. I'm pro-abortion. I want to do abortions, but it's just not worth it. The money's not there. The hassle.
What you have to put up with.
And they just don't want to be part of the abortion industry. So much so that this woman was wearing an ugly Halloween mask as she's going into the abortion clinics.
Well, the ugly was underneath the mask. Believe me. Just show you the hypocrisy of these people. There's a debate over, of course, whether women should be shown sonogram images in abortion clinics or made to hear the fetal heartbeat before they kill their baby. Oh, yeah.
So awful.
Sheila Jackson Lee, moral degenerate social misfit from Houston, Texas, Congress nuisance, she said that listen to this, the bill would allow women to listen to sounds that might discourage this needed abortion, unquote. Sounds. I wonder what sounds she might. They can't even bring themselves to say it.
These are the degenerates that want to pipe cable into every home, internet into every home. Everybody's got an iPhone. They want all the technology in the world, except when it comes for technology inside the womb.
They don't want it. In North Carolina, we passed the legislation for a woman's right to know. And then, of course, whenever the other side loses, they always just take the court. So North Carolina has now been taken to court. Yeah. And one of the main things they're fighting is to not be able, they don't want the doctor to be forced to show the ultrasound.
But they would force them to do abortions.
Yeah. The hypocrisy of it just aggravates me because when the bill was being worked on, they were claiming, well, we don't need it because doctors do this anyway. Right. Well, evidently, no, they don't.
Well, if they're doing it anyway, then what's the harm in saying you got to do it?
They do. Every abortion clinic does have a sonogram machine. So just like every butcher shop has a scale. Yeah. Right. Do you know why butcher shops have a scale? Because they charge by the pound. Right. And abortion clinics have sonogram machines because they charge by the age. Right. They need to know how big that baby is so they can jack up the price.
A very good friend of ours went to West Side in Fort Worth, and she looked over at what was the sonogram, and they jerked her head the other way so she wouldn't see. Right. They're using it to make sure they get it.
in the dark ages
That's
now.
right.
We found quotes from some of the NAF tapes, the National Abortion Federation tapes we have, where they say, make sure you face the sonogram screen away from the patient. That can be upsetting. It can be upsetting if you're being told this is a blob of tissue, and all of a sudden you look there and you see a baby jumping around. Yeah, that can be upsetting. All right. Yeah. Speaking of upsetting, your buddy from Kansas, Kathleen Sebelius.
Oh, we kicked her out. We gave her to everybody else.
Of course, we can't say anything because Cecile Richards' mother used to be the governor of Texas, so we can't.
And now her daughter's the president of Planned Parenthood.
The president of Planned Parenthood. She said Kathleen Sebelius went to a luncheon for National Abortion Rights Action League, and she said, I know that some people were a bit appalled at walking through the demonstrators as you came to this lunch. It is discomforting when you're coming to lunch, but think about the women she's talking about having to see all these pictures of dead babies is discomforting, especially since you're the one who's responsible for them being dead. But she said, think about all those poor women who are trying to tap into health care services they desperately need, who have to go through that kind of gauntlet in order to access all too infrequent services. These people are nuts.
She would know, wouldn't she?
Yep. Yeah, the immorality.
Mind-numbing.
It is. The amorality of these people is incredible. Here, speaking of that, this woman, Kylie Orr, has written an article. And she's a pro-abort, but she's trying to appear reasonable. And she said she's kind of upset about the issue of selective reductions, where a woman's carrying twins and she only wants one. Or four. Or usually, more often than not, now it's being used just for twins. They say, we can't really handle two, so we'll kill one and let the other one live. Or sometimes it's for sex selection. One of the babies is a girl, and we've already got two girls, and we only want the boy, so kill the girl. She says in the final analysis, she's trying to appear reasonable, like she has a problem with this. But she says in the final analysis, I disagree with their preference to abort, but I am unconvinced I'd settle for a society where the choice is eliminated. So in other words, if it comes, she's admitting they're babies, all through this thing, and that she's uncomfortable with this. But if the choice is not to be able to kill them, then I got to go along with killing them. Unbelievable.
And pretty sad.
I don't get it, how they come to these conclusions like that without and not see
they do
what
see,
they're even saying.
They do see, Cherie.
That's moral bankruptcy.
They're moral degenerates. That's what you have to admit. Kathleen Sebelius is the world. This woman right here, they are moral degenerates. That's what, and you know, I know it doesn't sound politically correct to say things like that, and even some of our fellow pro-lifers and fellow Christians are going to say, well, you shouldn't be saying those things. If they're true, they're true. And these people are moral degenerates, and that's what you have to understand.
We're not here to be nice. We're here to tell the truth.
Right.
And the truth hurts. George Orwell said, in times of universal deceit, telling the truth is a traitorous act.
Right. Right.
And traitors are hated by both sides.
Now, of course, the media is still doing their their job to support the abortion lobby, as they've always done, but they're picking it up because we're getting closer to winning, and they're saying it. There's recently a article, October 18th, just a few days ago, in the Dallas Morning News, Showdown Nears on Abortion. This was in the Dallas Morning News. And they're talking about the personhood thing in Mississippi. They're all alarmed of what's happening in Mississippi because that could spread and other states could outlaw abortion and so forth. And so over and over in this article, now this was an article from the Associated Press, so they don't give the person's name who wrote the article, but this person, just the language in it is obviously pro-abort. And they keep talking over and over again that this would even prevent women who have been raped and become pregnant the ability to have an abortion, and how horrible, that would be. But anyway, so they have this picture of this woman sitting on her sofa, and she's a rape victim. Kristen Hemmons is a rape victim. And they talk about how even women like her would be denied. At the very end of the article, in almost, oh, by the way, fashion, they mentioned this woman never got pregnant. So they're using this woman as the poster child for women who might be denied the right to have an abortion if they got pregnant. And they put her picture in the newspaper, and I assume this went out all over the country.
How far and deep they had to find that, look to find that woman.
And she says, I was never pregnant.
Well, and the chance of getting pregnant
It's like
versus
Corby, I was
being
never raped.
The question is, why couldn't you have found a woman who was raped and got pregnant and was denied an abortion? A real one.
Because that almost never happens.
All right. Anyway, they're going out of their way. I think it's interesting to compare what's going on with this Occupy Wall Street and how much favorable press that's getting. Mm-hmm. Why isn't things like 40 Days for Life getting any press? I wonder why that would be.
Well, we did the Occupy thing about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We called it the
Operation Rescue, right. Right.
Occupy abortion clinics, and it was the left that decried us actually going onto private property and getting arrested.
Yep, that's right. Right, they'll pay for theirs. We got abortionists still coming under discipline all over the country. You mentioned, 10?
Right. In fact, just in next week, there's going to be 10 abortionists in Texas facing disciplinary hearings for the 3-month investigation that Operation Rescue did here in conjunction with the Heidi Group.
Well, you got this guy in California, these two guys in California, Jesse James Joplin.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yeah, Felicio Rios. And these guys have been disciplined before, and the state medical examiners doesn't do anything to them, just cuts them back out there.
I got to say, the state of California has gotten progressively better in disciplining these abortionists. Good. Now, they don't act quickly, but after a period of time, they do end up canceling the medical license of these guys.
Where were these two?
California. Jesse James Joplin.
Jesse James Joplin.
Outlaw.
And he is an outlaw.
Yeah.
So these 10 you're talking about are all in Texas?
All in Texas.
Yeah. This is happening all over the country. People are starting to see what these people are really up to.
Let's not forget, 70% of the nation's abortion mills have closed down in the last 15 years. Yeah, that's right. We've documented it. 70%. It's a dying industry.
Right. That's right.
We're winning.
And these people are they're panicking, and you start to see the panic now. Whether it's in the media, the way the media is dealing with this, or the way they're dealing with it, or the violence. And we're going to be talking about that here a little bit later in the show. But don't make any mistake about it. We are winning. We got to keep up the pressure because winners don't quit when they're on the 5-yard line. That's the difference between winners and losers. Winners don't quit on the 5-yard line. They push ahead. So we're going to keep on going. We'll be right back.
For almost 40 years, you've been told that the abortion issue is about choice and women's rights, reproductive freedom. But that's just marketing hype. And this explosive feature-length documentary proves it. It's called Maafa 21, and it's a gritty behind-the-scenes look at America's family planning establishment. Now, when you see their dirty little secrets and hidden motives dragged into the light, You'll finally know the real reason why abortion was legalized. But don't think this is about history. It's not. What you're going to see in this film is happening right here, and it's happening right now. With information that will absolutely take your breath away. Moffat 21 is going to challenge you, it's going to shock you, and it's going to make you angry. But when it's over, you will know things that America's politicians and power brokers never intended for you to know. And you will have seen things that the media is never going to show you. The fact is, this DVD is about to change the way you look at the battle over abortion. The cost is only $20, and you can order it on this website or by calling toll-free 1-800-800-LIFE. We'll pay for the shipping. So, place your order right now. It's time for you to know the truth about these people.
Welcome back. All right, we got a lot of things to talk about here. You know, we've often stated on here, we've said it over and over again, and I think everything that's happening out there proves it, that the closer we get to victory, the more vicious, the more nasty our enemies are going to be, as if they could be more nasty and vicious than they've been for the last 40 years, but they can be.
Right.
And we're starting to see lots of examples of that. We've covered a few others here on LifeTalk in recent months. But one of them is going on in Buffalo, New York, and I thought we'd have somebody here that's actually on the ground there to talk about what's happening. This is going on at the University of Buffalo. And joining us now from Buffalo is Helen Westover. Hello, Helen.
Hi, how are you?
Well, we're just fine. How are you doing? Helen, kind of give us a quick thumbnail sketch of what's going on up there.
Well, there were two incidents. The one that I reported on was on in our first week. People were out there. There were about 8 people gathered to pray for 40 Days for Life. I'm the spokeswoman for 40 Days for Life now. And our first week on a Friday at 6 p.m., a car with 3 women sped by, stopped for a minute, and threw eggs and dog feces at the prayer warriors there. And they came up real close, so they would, hit. And then 10 minutes later, they came back and practically pulled up to the curb and did it again. And they hit several pro-lifers and also the sign of a man who was holding his baby. The baby was 10 months old. So I agree with you that obviously they oppose the First Amendment rights of people with whom they disagree, and then there's no tolerance there. And I see this, though I don't like the fact that violence is happening, but I agree with you. And I was going to say that clearly we are getting to them. So, they've lost the battle of ideas. They've lost the battle of science and medicine. There's really nothing more they can do.
Well, Helen, you're talking about 7 or 8 people standing in front of an abortion clinic, peacefully praying. You didn't have the big graphic signs. You're just praying.
No, they didn't have the big graphic signs. They had the 40 Days for Life signs. And
but wait a minute, even if they had the signs.
I'm just saying, I'm just painting the picture here. Right. There's 7 or 8 people praying on a public sidewalk. Twice, a group of people came up in a car and threw eggs and dog feces. Yeah.
Yes, and they were 3 women.
Now, did you call the police? Did they arrest them? Are they sitting in the county jail?
They finally, no. Our Buffalo police aren't what you would call even-handed when it comes to this kind of thing.
Well, back in the rescue days, they were the most vicious.
I know, I remember. Oh, I remember that physically. But they did call the police after the second time, and 20 minutes later, a policeman came by and took a report. So we've heard, and then the Buffalo News picked it up. And so there was a big article in the Buffalo News describing that and what happened for the University of Buffalo, to the University of Buffalo pro-lifers, their pro-life group there. They had a memorial, a week-long memorial for the babies with, crosses in the ground. And several people came up and kicked the crosses down. Then people came by later on and took the crosses and one woman was grabbing a cross and said, while we're at it, why don't we start a riot?
Huh. That would be considered a hate crime if it was any other religion.
I understand that. I don't like to use the enemy's term for that because that can get us in so much trouble, but it was a hate crime. Mm-hmm. It absolutely was. Yeah. It was. They're coming unhinged. They appear to have no recourse now.
Well, if they're losing.
Well, Planned Parenthood's losing all over the country. The technology's worked against them big time.
Right.
And they're speechless, so they answer with violence and rage.
Now, I know on that situation in the Buffalo, at the University of Buffalo, there are where the students had their Cemetery of the Innocents destroyed. They've arrested some guy for that, I think.
Yes, they did. They finally got this one man, student, whatever he was. There was a police officer right in front of him, and he kicked the cross. So the cops saw him and, busted him right then and there. And we haven't heard any follow-up about, he was charged with a misdemeanor. I don't know what level misdemeanor. But at least there was that,
right.
Now, Helen, for this Cemetery of Innocence, is it for the week or for the month? What for the week?
It was for the week. It was for the week.
In other words, they have the number of crosses of babies that have been killed within 1 week.
360 crosses, I believe they had
in that area, and in
that area.
And we've seen this all over the country. Anytime these cemeteries of the innocents are put up, the pro-aborts come in to destroy them. Sometimes, we've had video of them doing it, and the police just kind of look the other way as if
they had a big deal.
Right.
See, this shows you it's demonic. The devil can't even stand one cross.
Right.
Remind a place that has a lot of crosses up. They can't stand it. They can't stand it.
Yes, it was absolutely demonic. There's no other way to put it.
I want to make a point here for the rest of the Christians that are listening. We do want to forgive the people that are crushing these crosses. We want to reach out with them to them with mercy and compassion. But we need to make an important distinction here, and that is it's important to prosecute these people.
Absolutely.
They have broken the law. If we do not do that, it's unjust, not only to them, but to the rest of society, because it gives them permission to come back. If they can crush a cross today, tomorrow they can punch you in the nose, and the next day they can take your life with impunity. We cannot give fodder to the other side.
Absolutely, and I run into problems with pro-lifers up here. My question was, what's next? If they're throwing eggs and feces, how do you know they're not going to throw something harder, like a Molotov cocktail, if they get away with this? And it was very difficult to get the pro-lifers to finally call the police.
Why would they be hesitant to call the police on these
people?
Because
they're intimidated. They didn't want their names taken, and they were afraid there was going to be retribution. And I'm from the school of fight back. It is an injustice. It is a crime. And what we're doing, if we just, it's the whole wise as serpents and gentle as doves. We've got the gentle as doves thing down really well, but the wise as serpents thing, we haven't quite gotten.
Well, Helen, keep us posted on what's going on up there.
I sure will.
But one thing I think pro-lifers should take from this is that, like Helen said earlier, the other side knows they've lost the battle of ideas. Mm-hmm. The public is moving in our direction. The technology is making their arguments completely meaningless. And so what they've gone from is arguing the rightness of their position to throwing dog poop. Mm-hmm. When it goes to that point, they know they're losing.
Yeah. Freedom of expression does not apply to pro-lifers. They can't even...
And they can't get by with it.
And carry a video camera.
And carry a video camera. Hey, thanks, Helen, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
My question taught me to carry two video cameras.
Hey, what she's alluding to here is the fact that we hear what I call the godless left in this country, and you see it in these Occupy, whatever, New York, D.C., Denton. Right. They got an Occupy Denton, a bunch of nitwits down here at the University of North Texas. The godless left always preaches tolerance. They are the most intolerant people on the face of the earth, bar none. There is nobody on this earth more intolerant than the godless left.
Amen.
And you can see that in situations like this. It's crystal clear.
throw dog poop at somebody.
Yeah, well,
that is disgusting.
Yeah. But if one of us did it to some of these Occupy people, boy,
listen,
we'd be made an example
pro-lifers
of.
went to an abortion clinic and threw dog poop on the workers going in, there'd be congressional investigations, there'd be federal marshals at that place, skulls would be cracked. We've seen it.
All we had to do, we wouldn't have to throw it. All we had to go out there and just yell dog poop.
Right. Or just say, I'm going to throw dog. Anyway, all right, we've got another situation here that is pretty interesting. We've talked here several times about the war zone, and that's exactly what it is in Rockford, Illinois. And the people up there have put on the pro-lifers up there have put on a heroic battle.
Yes, they have.
And I'm telling you something, you don't even have to believe that Satan exists to see this satanic influence in that abortion clinic when they're holding up all these signs and these pictures, and we can't even describe the things, the blasphemous things that they're doing up there in this abortion clinic. I'll let Kevin do that. We're going to have Kevin Rylott is with us from Rockford. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
We're just fine, and you're coming from the front lines of this battle because we've talked about on here before that Satan has set up shop in Rockford, Illinois, and he's been welcomed in there to a large degree by the local police and the law enforcement establishment who've done nothing about the things that these people are doing. But can you kind of bring people up to date with what's happening now and the good news that's going on?
Yeah, we've thankfully had some good news here. For years, we've talked to mothers who've been in this abortion facility, and they've told us of the horrible smells in there and the hallways, they're having to navigate around biohazard boxes to get into the actual clinic. And so we finally checked in to see if they'd been inspected and found out they had not been inspected for 14 years. Well, we called and emailed and put pressure on the state to finally inspect them, and they finally did in June of 2011. And a few of the things the state found in there is their autoclave machine, which sanitizes the surgical instruments, does not work. All 3 operating rooms were inspected and found to be unsanitary. The cannulas that were lined up for the next surgical procedure were found to be stained with an unknown substance. And the list goes on and on of these horrible conditions that you wouldn't take a dog into a medical facility like this, let alone a person.
There's more regulations at a veterinary clinic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the state of Illinois has lowered the standards so much for abortion facilities that still didn't close them. And so we kept on the state, and the state did get in there a second time and found that the abortionists who work at this abortion mill come from another state, and they don't have admitting privileges in the city of Rockford at any hospital. They didn't have a registered nurse on staff for 3 years, which the law requires them to have in the operating room. They didn't have a lab, just all these gross and blatant violations of the law, and that finally caused the state of Illinois to shut this clinic down.
Fantastic.
Well, you could say that this is a back alley abortion mill, right?
A couple pro-abortion protesters showed up there and said, well, it still needs to be open. We don't want back alley abortions. And we said back alley abortions would be a step up from what's taking place at this place. The actual wording of the closure notice from the state of Illinois is, the department has found conditions at this facility that are a direct threat to the public interest, health, safety, and welfare, requiring immediate emergency action. From a liberal state like Illinois to come out with a statement like that, things inside this clinic must be just beyond belief. The clinic was fined $15,000, and they've been closed since the end of September. They are trying to get their license back, but we're fighting them on a lot of different levels. Also going to be looking into making complaints against the doctor's license themselves, not just the clinic.
Good.
So there's a lot of things going on. And, when you started this segment, Mark, you mentioned about the demonic influences.
Yes.
Well, right now, as we speak, in this abortion clinic, in their upper windows, they've got a mask of Satan and another grotesque-looking mask, which the abortion clinic owner has told me that that's his demon. Nice. So they don't hide the master of the house at this place. They put him right out in front so the public can see.
Well, you guys have done a good job of showing people, and we've run some of the pictures here before of just the day-to-day operations of this place. I mean, all the bizarre things that they're doing there, and
anything from rubber chickens covering the body of Jesus on a crucifix to signs celebrating abortion as a victory over Jesus Christ, to they found out one of our pro-lifers got the HIV virus from a blood transfusion. So they had half a dozen signs in the windows talking about how people with HIV were going to rot and die, how God loves dogs, but God doesn't give dogs HIV. Yeah. Now, if you saw these signs at a Tea Party event or anything like that, they would be on the cover of the New York Times. Yeah. But since they're in an abortion clinic attacking people with HIV, no one pays attention except for people like you.
Well, we've put the stuff out there before that you guys have put on your website and stuff, and it's almost so outrageous. People think you're crazy when you show it. They say, well, that couldn't possibly be true. You're making all this up.
Even to other pro-lifers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and the owner of the clinic has come out dressed as the devil before, sure. And I don't want to get too graphic, but with his zipper open and something, fake something sticking out of there. And we've got pictures of this. The local media here will cover up for this clinic, and it's just a horrible place, and not even covering the killing of human beings that takes place in there, but just their attitude towards all human life and people in general. But some of our people, our Christians, kind of take it as a badge of honor that this place that is in business to destroy human life attacks Christianity. So that kind of tells us maybe we are doing something right.
Absolutely. Amen. And, I know that some time ago, the confrontation got very racial. That you had a guy there that was defending the clinic showing up just screaming the most horrific racial things.
I think he used the N-word close to 30 times in a 3 or 4 minute segment. He'd do this, and we'd call the police, and then the abortion clinic security guard would get on the public address system and warn him that he heard the police were coming over his scanner. So that guy would take off, and then he'd come again. So he was working in conjunction with the clinic security forces.
Yeah, we had a tape, I think, that you guys made, and we ran it here. Right. And the problem with the tape was, it was not only the N-word, but all these other words that he was saying. You couldn't run it because it was bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah,
there was no tape.
So much of the stuff they do here, you can't really put out in public because it is so grotesque. And
yet these are the forces of tolerance, right?
Yeah.
What we were talking about a moment ago. But if a pro-lifer had done exactly the same things as that guy was doing.
We're the pro-choice women that are fighting for the cleanliness of this place, that women should be entitled to better standards than this. Where are they?
Pollyanna view of these people.
There's a great question. Kevin, is this an NAF clinic?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah. National Abortion Federation.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, listen.
It says that on their website.
Do not relent in getting this place closed. Even if they come to you with big crocodile tears and say, I'm sorry, we're going to become a real whole women's health clinic. Do not believe them. Fight tooth and toenail to close this place down once and for all. And we'll do everything that we can to help.
And bypass the normal media.
Yeah, that's what we've done. We've created our own brochures on the health department violations, and we're lit dropping our city. We get out there and just get them on cars. We're going to be putting up billboards on this. And we realize the mainstream media covers up for abortion, and like you said, we've got to bypass them, and that's what pro-lifers have to do.
Well, Kevin, we're proud of you guys because you're right there on you're in the thick of it. I've said before on here that, again, this is the front lines of the battle right here. Satan has created a beachhead in Illinois there, in Rockford, Illinois, and you guys are fighting them tooth and nail, and you're winning. That's the other part of this deal. You're winning, or they wouldn't be closed down right now.
Well, this place has been closed a month now, so that's hundreds of babies that have been saved. And
the longer they stay closed, the less likely they are to reopen.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And thank you to all of you at LifeTalk, because you give us so much hope out here with your courage and your positive take on everything. And just thank you so much for what you guys do.
Well, you give us hope.
Absolutely.
You're out there doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
God bless you guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I love good news.
We can't lose with people like this. Yeah. But you know what's winning this battle more than anything else, I believe? Persistence.
Persistence. That's the word I was going to use.
I was going to say perseverance.
Yep. Whenever you see an abortion clinic with a sign that says this clinic stays open, it's that blue sign with white letters. I always know it's going to close.
They're doomed. They're doomed. Yeah, it's really great news. There's a lot of other interesting things going on. One of the things that I want to talk about before we get to these other guests, I want to remind people about the Lyme 5 offer. A lot of people are taking advantage of this. This is something you need to get in everybody's hands, and you can do it for free. We'll send you a case of Lyme 5s if you've got an event coming up, or we just sent 5 cases to an event in Canada. If you've got an event coming up and you can give out some Lyme 5s to people there, contact us. We'll give you the Lyme 5s for free. All you have to do is pay the shipping to get them to wherever you are, and you can have them and give them away. And it's something, even though it was written in 1996, there's nothing in here that's different in this book than what's going on today. And this will give, especially all these newbies coming into the pro-life movement, who may not understand the nature of this battle. They read this book, they'll understand the nature of this battle. I promise you. I promise you.
Don't read it before you go to sleep.
You've said that before.
Still true, though.
Yeah, still true. But anyway,
when you're at a conference or convention, we was at a WeDo, that's the Black Radio Station convention, and set up Marfa, 21. We had a little loop going for the trailer and all, and sold quite a nice little number of copies. But that one, since we were getting away free, people was grabbing it left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Are many left?
Yeah, we've got a few left. Not many. I mean, we're down to not seeds and stems, but we're getting down to the end. So we won't be able to do this forever. But as long as we got a supply of them, they're free. Just pay the shipping and handling. Just give us a call at the number that's on the screen, and you can order as many as you can actually use. We don't want people just stockpiling them somewhere. We can stockpile them here. But if they're going to get them out and use them, they can have them for free. Okay, one of the things that happens when people use the graphic images of abortion, whether they're early term, late term, whatever, the pro-aborts always come back and say, those are phony. You guys make those up. Like we sit around and make models of...
No, they said it's a Hollywood makeup job.
Yeah, right. And, some of the arguments they make are just absolutely preposterous. I mean...
They don't want to believe that could really be
they're living in
what
denial.
they're living
I was on a talk show several years ago with a woman who... We had the picture of the baby in Dallas that a guy that used to work for us actually took, and the head was missing in the
that's a
horrific picture. And they were arguing that these kind of late-term abortions don't happen. And I said, well, what about this picture? Oh, well, that's something that you guys made up. I said, what, we made a model? She said, no, y'all get them from hospitals that give you, these are babies that are stillborn. And I said, well, now, wait a minute. Why would a hospital give a pro-life group a stillborn baby, which we then pull the head off of and take pictures of it? Why would a hospital do that? And, of course, there was never any argument for this. Any comeback for that. But there's an interesting thing that's going on right now up in Michigan with one of our longtime good friends, Monica Miller, Dr. Monica Miller, who has now gotten a lot of these basically what are corpses and taken a lot of pictures, and these came out of actual dumpsters at the abortion mill. So how are they going to now say that we made this up? And let's bring her in. Monica, hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for being with us. Real quickly, tell us, you've got these pictures on your website, and we'll put your website name up on the screen so people can go there and see that. It's at prolifesociety.com. And I looked at it yesterday, and y'all have kind of a carousel of these pictures. And these were all pictures that you got from an abortion clinic?
Yeah, the pictures, the carousel, the gallery that's mounted on prolifesociety.com. Those are photographs that we took very recently. I mean, I consider it recent, in the year 2010. And those are babies that actually were retrieved from a dumpster behind the Woman's Choice Abortion Clinic in Lansing. And in fact, not only do we have the photographs of the aborted babies that were in the World Packs, but we actually have photographs of the World Packs themselves with the mother's names on the bags. Now, you know very well that there's no way that we could make that up. And furthermore, we also got patient records out of that dumpster, all of that which has been turned over to the Attorney General's office here in Michigan, and we're waiting for them to finally, get on the stick and do something. But we can match the names of the women on the bags to the patient records that we retrieved from the trash. Now, there's no way that somebody's going to say, we made all that up. We concocted patient records. We put the names of the moms on the bags with the date of the abortion and the gestational age of the unborn child, and then photographed the remains of the babies themselves. And then we had a burial with 1,000 people and a bishop burying babies. We just made all that up, too. I mean, it's so outrageously absurd. But we just created a new website, imagesofabortion.com, and I really would love to have everyone, watching and listening to your show, to go there. We have 350 of the most spectacular and, of course, disturbing, because it is disturbing, it should be disturbing, and I would say even shocking, images of victims of abortion. It's a new website, imagesofabortion.com, which is a project of Citizens for a Pro-Life Society. We have a number of galleries mounted on imagesofabortion.com that go. Some of these photographs go all the way back to 1987. So from 1987 all the way through the year 2010. I hate to say it, Mark, but abortion hasn't changed. A dead baby in 1987. The baby in the year 2010 looks just as dismembered and mutilated, but
yes.
This is the truth
right.
about abortion. Not only do we have the images, the still photography mounted on this site, but we have the videos of how we when we opened the bags, when we went in the dumpster and opened the bags, we videotaped right there on the spot. So people are watching what we saw when we saw it. And if anybody wants to go, watch those videos, I got to admit, I mean, this is hard viewing. This is not a walk in the park. Abortion is very ugly. The abortion practice is absolutely despicable, and everything. This is in particular 2 abortion clinics that we have video. One is from the Alberto Hodari clinic in Lathrop Village, Michigan, Woman Care, and the other one is the Reginald Sharp abortionist in Livonia, Michigan, at the Women's Advisory Abortion Clinic. And like I said, we videotaped exactly what we saw as we saw it. So if somebody wants to say we're making this up, and it's not just, in this case, it's not just the aborted babies and the body parts that you're going to see on those videos, but it's everything else that had to do with the abortion practice. Those baby butchers were dumping into their trash dumpster right behind their clinic, all in violation of Michigan state law. So the whole thing was a huge scandal. Thankfully, it should be a scandal. But if abortion continues to be legal, this is the way things are going to be done. Unborn babies are going to be butchered. Women are going to be exploited. And come on, you know very well. I mean, I took this from you, Mark, because I learned it from you. You did a great job. I mean, you're really one of my heroes. You're so clever. Oh. Honestly, the bottom feeders, right?
Yeah.
The bottom feeders of the medical profession, and that's what you find when you go into a trash dumpster. I mean, there's some abortion clinics that clean up their act because they want to give the facade of being professional and clean and antiseptic and all that BS, right? But underneath all that, it's still the same thing, mutilated and dead bodies, and that's what abortion is in America, okay. And we are exposing it on that website. This is a tool that we created to help pro-lifers. Anybody, we don't even charge. We don't charge anything.
Monica,
for anybody to use those photos, all we're asking is photo credit.
Monica,
yeah.
I think that you make a very good distinction here, and that's that we need to view these pictures. If you're a pro-lifer and you have not seen a picture of an aborted baby, I beg you to go to this website, see these pictures, because you will not understand the tragedy of abortion until you have looked at the inhumanity of what abortion does to an innocent baby.
But, there's another point that related to that. It's not just new people. Some of us that have been around forever, we sometimes forget what this battle is really about.
Yes.
And we get caught up in the day-to-day mechanisms of trying to stop this, or the politics of it, or the public education part of it, and we forget what's at the core of this battle sometimes. I catch myself doing that. And so
the images of the broken bodies should draw you in. They should change your life. I said in the press release, I think it was the press release, it might have been the memo on the CPLS memo blitz, but you got to let those babies, the tragedy of what happened to them should bore right into the center of your heart. Yeah, you cannot look at them and be the same person after you see those images.
Well, if you are the same person after you see them, there's something desperately wrong with you.
Monica, we're talking about viewing the pictures, which is horrific for me. I look with my hands over my eye, peeping out a corner. But what was it like for the people that were involved in this, that took the pictures and actually, held the parts and buried the parts and all that? How are they holding up?
Well, here's how I think it worked for us on a spiritual level and a psychological level. I think God gave us the graces that we needed to do the work, and for us, when we took these aborted babies out of the trash and opened up these bags and saw what we saw, for us this was like taking Jesus Christ off the cross. For us, this was a spiritual work of mercy. And so we were extremely motivated. And I can tell you, I get these emails on our Citizens for a Pro-Life Society website. People saying, "Oh, what a bunch of freaks you people are, digging through trash dumpsters. What, haven't you got anything better to do? Is that, And they, of course, these are pro-abortion people. And I say to myself, I have to say, I'm absolutely perplexed by it. Of course, they think that the unborn child is a piece of trash. And what kind of ridiculous, psycho case are you that you would even go into a trash dumpster to go pull out this what they consider to be trash? But I try, I do, foolishly, maybe even naively, whatever. I try to, argue with these people. Okay, look, let's just say for the sake of argument, these unborn children are human. Do they belong in the trash? What if it was you? What if you had been murdered and the murderer dumped your body into a trash dumpster? Wouldn't you want somebody to go in there and take you out? I mean, it's just, why do I even have to explain it?
Well,
there it is,
The problem is, Monica, their consciences are so seared by having defended this practice for so long that I think there comes a point at which these people are forever lost. I don't think they're redeemable, and I hate to say that, and they're all redeemable through Christ, obviously, but Christ won't enter the unwilling heart. Well, Monica, we're out of time, and I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. We're going to make sure people go to your website, and I'm sure we'll have you back on as you discover.
That would be perfect, and God bless all of you.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks for what you do.
Bye-bye. There's so many things going on right now, and one of the things that's happening is a new movie that's out that's very
enlightening.
It's not only enlightening, but it is challenging. It's got a unique perspective to it, and we've got the gentleman here visiting here with us today that created this movie. The movie is called 180. And it's about turning people's views around on abortion.
It's got 1 million YouTube hits already?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on our sheet here, that 1 million people have gone on YouTube and watched it. Ray Comfort is the person who's responsible for this, and he's joining us today. Hello, Ray.
Hello. How are we doing?
Fine, sir. How are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Listen, your movie is challenging these pro-aborts on their own turf. In other words, you say this is true. How can that be true? How can you reconcile that with your pro-abortion position? Tell us a little bit about your movie, and we're going to put up a website that people can go to and see the movie or get a copy of it.
How long have I got?
As long as you need.
5 minutes. Go ahead.
5 minutes. Yeah, it was actually based on a book that I wrote called Hitler, God, and the Bible. I told the publishers I'd make a video called Hitler's Religion and went out in the street with a camera, came back with 14 interviews from mainly university students who didn't even know who Hitler was. It was like they lived on another planet. I couldn't believe it. Then I got an interview with a guy named Steve, who is a anti-Jew, black-hating, America-hating, Hitler-loving, neo-Nazi atheist with a 14-inch blue mohawk. So I had this colorful footage, and then when I was doing research for the book, I read an incident which made me weep. It was a group of Jews that were shot by the Nazis in a pit, and while some of them were still alive, they brought in the bulldozers and buried them alive. So I thought, I'm going to put people in this moral dilemma and see if they would do that. So I'd put people on camera and say, a Nazi's got a gun pointed at your head. He wants you to get in a bulldozer and bury Jews that are still alive. If you do what he says, he's going to let you live. If you don't, he's going to kill you. Would you drive it forward? And when they said, no, I could never do that, I'd say, why? Is that because you value human life? And they'd say, yes. I'd say, well, what do you think about abortion? And they'd say, it's a woman's choice. So do you think it's a baby in the womb? And when they said yes, I'd ask them one question that made them change their minds about abortion, from being adamantly pro-abortion to being pro-life in a matter of seconds because of this one question. And so we came back and looked at it on studio, eight people doing an about face. We thought, this isn't about Hitler's religion, this is a pro-life video. So we changed the name to 180, put it up on the internet, and in 22 days, over 1 million people have viewed it, and we're so excited.
Wow.
Because when people are watching it, we're getting emails from them, they're changing their minds and becoming pro-life when they were pro-abortion when they started watching the movie.
It's extremely thought-provoking. That's the word I think I was looking for.
From the very first question,
right?
Who was Hitler?
Yeah.
It was amazing to me. I thought it was a joke that so many people didn't know who Hitler was. I thought, this can't be real. It can't be right.
Well, Ray, I've got a question for you. I've listened to you for years, and I've really appreciated your apologetics, and you're, I think, an evangelist at heart. At least that's how I would express my definition of you. But we, in the pro-life movement, have labored for so many years, have struggled to see pastors and Christian leaders dive into the abortion issue from a perspective of evangelism. We've often said that we get more people saved in front of an abortion clinic on accident than sometimes you do in church on purpose. How does that affect you when you go out into the public square and you debate with these people and you talk about the Ten Commandments, you talk about abortion, and then you bring it about, because 180 is explicitly a Christian film. You bring this around and you bring them to the point of repentance. Can this be used as a platform for other Christian leaders to lead more people to Christ?
Absolutely. We actually got together with Randy Alcorn and Kay Arthur and produced a 64-page booklet. It's called the 180 Course. And the 180 Course will train churches to do what I did in the video. It doesn't take tremendous intelligence. All it takes is a compassionate heart and a little bit of study. But anyone can do this, and thousands of people have already availed themselves of the 180 Course. People can get details on heartchanger.com. It's dirt cheap, low-cost price. So we want our motive isn't monetary. We just want to see babies not be killed in our country. You know, the principle used is just a very simple principle, and it's giving people knowledge. I could ask you a question and have you answer and change your mind about something you're sure of in a matter of seconds by giving you extra information. For instance, if I asked each of you in studio to point to where up is, no doubt you'd point above your head, and I'd say, well, no, it's not true, and let me tell you why. I'm from New Zealand. I'm from down under, and because we live on this ball called the Earth, the direction you're pointing for a New Zealander is down. It's not up. And you'd see with the extra knowledge that up is actually a relative term and down is a relative term. Nothing is up and down when it comes to wherever you're standing on the face of this earth. And the thing that made you change your mind is extra information. I was on a plane with a guy, and I didn't have a camera, but I took him through the same scenarios after I witnessed to him, and he changed his mind about abortion in a matter of minutes. And he said, I like the way you put this. You don't badger people. You just give them extra information and leave it up to them to make their own minds up. And that's all that happens on 180. People are given information, and they see things from a different perspective, and that causes them to have a change of mind, and that's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
You talk about evangelism and the church not being active when it comes to abortion. I think I know why. It takes tremendous courage to stand outside an abortion clinic, and most Christians are intimidated by the thought because the news media are going to demonize them and call them doctor killers and hate-filled people and fundamentalists and all these horrible terms. And, you know, during the Second World War, no doubt good Germans stood up against Nazi Germany. Maybe they stood outside a concentration camp and said, what's happening inside here, and lost their lives just because they asked questions. We don't have to pay such a cost. We can email this video on 180movie.com to another person and say, please pass this on. There's a video clip called Charlie Bit My Finger that's had 380 million views. And it's about a little kid that bit his brother's finger, and it's kind of funny. We think we've got a more important message than Charlie Bit My Finger. Right. And we'd like Christians to send this all over the Internet. It's an easy thing to do, and we're making the videos available at $1 each. We're giving away 200,000 later this month at 100 universities in one day. Right. And so we're excited to do that, and we want Christians to see they've got the world at their fingertips. They can move a mountain with their mouse. The key to reaching this world is the keyboard. And so use what no other generation has had, this Internet, which can be used for good rather than for evil.
Absolutely. Well, Ray, listen, what I want to ask you to do is, I think you're at the very beginning of this thing. You may have already had a million hits online, but you're at the very beginning of this project. And what I'd ask you to do is to keep us posted on how the progress is going. And we might have you come back on later on and just kind of update people from time to time and show them the things that are happening as a result of your movie.
Certainly, and can I give that website again?
Absolutely. We've got it up on the screen, but go ahead.
Oh, good. 180movie.com. It's a free viewing. It's 33 minutes, roller coaster ride of emotions. But please, when you view it, if you think it's worthy, pass it on. You could reach 1 million people on the Internet if you've got a mind to.
Well, I'm promising you they're going to think it's worthy.
We'll be
That's
waiting
great.
for your
Thank
next
you so
movie,
much.
too.
Yeah, right. Ray, be sure and keep us posted on what's going on, okay?
We'll do that. God bless you guys.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, Bob, he did say something, so it goes right back to the thing where he gave extra information.
Right.
And we were talking about how the enemy is doing their best to stop the messaging.
Yeah.
Because they have no defense against the message.
Don't think for a moment they're not going to come after this deal. They're going to do something. They'll hire people to shut down his website. Whatever they have to do, they'll do.
I'm surprised YouTube hasn't tried that already.
It may be coming.
You know, but it's interesting. You know, the people say they're pro-choice. That implies information. You know, this choice or this choice or this choice. But in reality, their choice is only one narrow choice, and exclude all other exterior information.
I've often said you can choose it, but you can't unchoose it. Right? You know, you can't unchoose it. You know, it only goes one choice, only is a one-way street in this deal. Thanks, guys. Great show.
All right. Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have for now. Until next month, remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how this killing stops. We'll see you in December.